episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation point. This is a podcast based on a blog of the same name because we became something else. We became Couch Potatoes Unite, the podcast! Okay, I tried. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening or checking out the blog at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground with something you like. For at Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, How to Get Away with Murder, Gotham, Once Upon a Time, Supernatural, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for New Girl, The 100, Doctor Who, The Originals, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, and the Marvel's Defenders panel will return to discuss the Defenders crossover miniseries. There'll be a final visit with our Vampire Diaries panel to say goodbye to the long-running series in a two-part episode. It's very close, I assure you. A final two-part episode discussing Broadchurch to say goodbye to the mystery drama from across the pond. There'll be a final visit with our Buffyverse panel as they discuss the last 3 seasons of Spin-Off Angel and their best and worst lists. We'll be launching new panels covering Sense8, Lemony Snicket's Unfortunate Events, Grace and Frankie, and The Good Place. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll be looking back at one of the most popularly requested panels of all CPU time, Friends. What's more, CPU also goes live. We've been live very recently from The Bunker, comedy outlet Mondays at Dog Story Theater in Grand Rapids Comic-Con. We're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, so make sure you like us at our Facebook page, our Twitter, follow us at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, and or our Pinterest at CPU Podcast, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear your show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we're always seeking new panelists, so if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback. Just keep your morally ambiguous arrows quivered, if you don't mind. Today, we are around the water cooler and continuing another of CPU's podcast series. The series does not have a fixed number of episodes like other series we do. Rather, it is ongoing and covers a growing number of shows that seem to increasingly fall under one large umbrella, expanding into a well-made, quite popular universe of comic book adaptations, as the interest in those adaptations also grows. With that said, today's episode is part 10 of our DCTU expert panel discussing the DC television universe, i.e. television programs adapted from DC comic book properties that have morphed and expanded into one universe. In this 10th episode of our DCTU podcast series, we've returned to digest the 5th season of the show that started it all, Arrow. Arrow was developed by writer-producers Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and Andrew Kreisberg, and is based on the DC Comics character Green Arrow, a costumed crime fighter created by Mort Weisinger and George Papp. The series takes a new look at the Green Arrow character, as well as other characters from the DC Comics universe. Although Oliver Queen and the Green Arrow had been featured in the television series Smallville from 2006 to 2011, also on the CW, the producers decided to start clean and find a new actor, namely Stephen Amell, to portray the character. In Season 5, Oliver trains young heroes Wild Dog, played by Rick Gonzalez, Mr. Terrific, played by Echo Kellum, Artemis and Ragman to join him in his war on crime following Laurel's, played by Katie Cassidy, death, and Thea's, played by Willa Holland, resignation. He subsequently recruits a new Black Canary as well, a metahuman vigilante and former police detective named Dinah Drake, played by Juliana Hargavy. Supported by new allies, Oliver tries to balance vigilantism with his new role as mayor. He is also threatened by the mysterious and deadly villain Prometheus, played by Josh Segarra, who has a connection to Oliver's past. In flashbacks, Oliver joins the Bratva in Russia as part of a plot to assassinate Konstantin Kovar. There he meets and is trained by one of Ra's al Ghul's daughters, Talia al Ghul, as a hooded archer before eventually returning to Lian Yu. Today, in the 10th episode of our DCTU series, our DCTU panel, namely Kyle, Hilary, Spencer, Kristen, and Nick, returns to focus specifically upon Season 5 of Arrow. Before we get into the discussion, as always, I'm going to take that moment to take the panel's temperature. After all, as we all know, sometimes a TV show can take turns for the better or the worse in our heads, or can continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon its story evolution. As always, it should be noted that every single one of our panelists has viewed the entire show through the end of the 5th season and will likely, very probably, discuss sensitive plot points. So for those of you who are not caught up on Arrow, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you?
I've never been here before.
You're doing a what now?
I said I've never been here before.
You've been on the other DC.
Oh, okay.
You should probably identify who you are, because you don't sound
It's a
normal.
mystery.
Nick, stop being difficult.
He's Adrian Chase.
He's the phantom of the podcast. Well, that's true. And I will have you and Kristen, your co-new panelist, talk about Arrow. We're going to do the temperature checking. But so I guess what we'll do, we'll just start there. You get to tell us how you came to watch Arrow, what made you start watching, why did you keep watching? That's probably a more important question. And then we'll go around the table with the temperature checking. So Nick, this is Nick, by the way.
Hi, I'm Nick.
I testified to the honesty of that.
Spoiler alert!
Well, how can anyone tell? He's sad.
What?
I'm not sad.
Well, your voice
Now
is
that
sad.
sounded like Nick.
I'll just talk like this.
Now he sounds like Emo Phillips.
Whoa. This got worse.
It's already getting spicy.
If you want to know why it's
Why
all in the
did you
Flash.
start?
It's all in the Flash one. It's the same reasons.
Okay. This was also in the Legends one.
Yes.
And
So
probably the Supergirl one.
I would say, didn't we start with Legends?
I think we did, yeah.
We're just working
But it came up
backwards.
again in Flash. Because it was this one and
It's
Arrow. I went
Arrow.
back and forth.
But I thought you said to listen to Legends to find out.
Did I?
I'm
I said that on the Flash, so it's breadcrumbs.
The answer carries over.
The bottom line is peer pressure.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, welcome, Nick.
Thanks.
I guess. Kristen?
Hi.
Hi.
Start over.
No, we love each other. It's friendly, and it's just going to get worse because we're talking about Arrow. Warning.
Yes, Arrow. Kristen here. It's the same as on the Legends podcast and the
Peer
and the
pressure.
Supergirl podcast and the Flash podcast. Peer pressure, and when a spot opened up, I jumped on it because I'm addicted to podcasting.
It's true, she is.
So I'm here again.
She's going to be entering a 12-step program.
I will need to because I'll be on 3 more coming up pretty soon. I can't help myself.
To be fair, that's right, the new ones. She's
Yeah,
right.
the new ones.
She counted.
Yeah.
Well, but you're such a valuable addition.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And welcome to the Arrow part of the DCTU podcast, Kristen and Nick. Okay, so now...
Now that we got that out of the way.
Right!
Very welcoming. Thank you.
Yes,
tried.
we feel so welcome to be here.
You know, what you want.
I offered you a drink.
So now we're going to go around the table and rate your interest in the show nowadays. I have tweaked this since the last time we talked about Arrow. It's been since over a year. So how do you feel about Arrow following the conclusion? And this is very important because at the time of recording, Season 6 has premiered and aired a few episodes. So, how do you feel about Arrow as of the end of Season 5? That's no good.
We're all
Stick to the
thinking,
question.
we're all thinking it.
Foreshadowing.
Do you watch it because you are a big Green Arrow fan from the comics, the Justice League, Smallville, and or because you love your city, and or because you want to be a beacon of hope, living in light and not in darkness, and not as someone who enjoys killing others because of his traumatic past, as certain villains would have you believe, like Oliver Queen, aka the Green Arrow? Do you watch it because you are secretly or not so secretly in love with it? Also, you're smarter than most people you know, and you feel it is your duty to support and extol the virtues of the show and the vigilante hero that you love, even when doing so, or when he becomes insufferable, even though you might have that problem yourself, like Felicity Smoke, aka Overwatch. Do you watch it because your friends watch it, and you feel they shouldn't have to watch it alone, especially since they got you into the mess of watching it to begin with, like John Diggle, a.k.a. Spartan.
I think she wrote that about us, Nick.
Actually, that's the only one that wasn't changed from the last time.
That's true.
Do you watch it because you've become involved at great personal cost? You want to help, you want to fight, you support the Green Arrow, and particularly adore the character Felicity Smoke, and it gives you the chance to stretch your horizons while instilling more confidence in you, even though you acknowledge that it has its flaws, like Curtis Holt, aka Mr. Terrific. Do you watch it because your family watches it and you want to support your family or what's left of it, while simultaneously hoping that it does not consume you or turn you into a bad person, like Thea Queen, aka Speedy? Do you watch it because you feel you have a duty to watch it? For you, it's about remaining loyal and giving the show, which has stumbled repeatedly recently, chances to redeem itself, qualities with which you personally identify, like Quentin Lance. Do you watch it sporadically? You're kind of new to the Arrowverse and haven't fully committed yet, like Renee Ramirez, aka Wild Dog, or Dinah Drake, aka Black Canary III. Do you hate watch it? You only enjoy watching it so that you can rip it apart and make other people feel bad for watching or aligning themselves with it. Let's face it, you're kind of a sociopath, like Adrian Chase, aka Spoiler, Prometheus.
Spencer.
Or, don't feed answers. Or, you don't watch it because, spoiler, you died, like Laurel Lance, aka Black Canary II, though you're open to coming back and watching it again, like Earth 2 Laurel Lance, aka Black Siren. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so Kristen again. So John Diggle, because peer pressure.
The end.
The end.
Oh, that was short and sweet.
Yep. And I only picked one.
That's true, you did. I am proud.
Yep.
I'll follow that.
Okay.
John Diggle
All right.
is my name, and Nick is... No.
That's a weird song.
You could throw that part of Mr. Terrific with the at great personal cost in there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
This is a rough season.
Oh, agreed.
Hey, I'm Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
And I would say, based on those, I'm Quentin Lance. It has many, many pitfalls, but I keep hoping it'll redeem itself, so I keep watching. I'm a big Green Arrow comic book fan, too, so that part from Green Arrow description, but mostly the Lance.
Hi, I'm Hilary.
Hi, Hilary.
Hey. So Kyle just talked, and he's my husband, and the moderator's my sister.
Good job.
I really hope you people are catching on.
Hashtag disclaimer.
Hashtag Hilary's thing.
Seriously. So I'm going to say that I'm pretty much like Mr. Terrific as well. I want to support it still. I do love Felicity. I'm trying to have confidence that certain things will get back to the way it used to be. But in some ways, I don't feel like it's there yet. We'll talk about that. And also Quentin Lance, because I still feel like I have a duty to watch it. I mean, I love Stephen Amell. Although, again, I still feel like it's not, because I do love Green Arrow, it's not always very Green Arrow-y. Just going to say that too, but that's what I'm going to stick with for now.
So, Mr. Terrific, Quentin Lance, and that's it?
That's basically it.
Okay.
I'm thinking that's what I'm going to stick with.
Okay, fair enough. Welcome back, Hilary.
Hi, I'm Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
And I'm a potpourri of everything except the last one this time. It
Wow.
is. There's
He's
elements
got
that I love. There's
afflictions.
elements
Too
I
much.
hate. There are so many different feelings towards this show at this point. Some of them are very positive, but some of them are so negative. And we'll get into that.
Yeah,
I sure
Spencer
will.
doesn't really do potpourris of characters.
No.
He did the one time.
I did the one time, but this show really
You're usually
is...
pretty straightforward, though.
This one, though, there's things, even in Season 5, which I think was maybe the weaker of the seasons to this point, because of some of... Well, we'll get into that part, but there's still parts of it I absolutely adore. This was the show that brought me into the Arrowverse, obviously. I mean, it's the first one, and it was fantastic, and it opened the gateways for all the others. So there's always going to be things I love about it, but they are making it more difficult.
Welcome, Spencer.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm Kylie. And I'm not going to go quite as large of a potpourri, but I actually am picking multiple this time as well.
Wow.
I would pick the Green Arrow only because I'm obsessed with Stephen Amell. And because I do like the character from other iterations of the character. Like, I liked him on Smallville, and I liked him on Justice League, and I really want him to be successful here. I would still pick Felicity Smoke because I'm secretly or not so secretly in love with Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
Hearts.
Yes.
You forgot that part.
Yes. Otherwise, I would be Mr. Terrific because I want to support the Green Arrow and particularly adore the character Felicity Smoke. and it gives me the chance to stretch my horizons, but it has its flaws, and they were on full display in season 5. And I would also pick Quentin Lance because, like Kyle, I and maybe Hilary said this too, I keep wanting it to go back to its former glory, and it's not there. It's not there. It's trying. You can tell that it's trying, but it's not there. So that's where I'm at. So welcome back to everybody.
Great start, guys.
Great start. This is not bode well. So if you're a huge Arrow fan and you base that on season 5, forewarning. So we're going to talk about season 5. Now, basically, there was a lot of things going on in this season. The main sort of plot arcs, you have a new team with a whole bunch of new people on the team because Laurel died in the 3rd season. Thea quits and goes into politics. So he
Which
then
is funny.
Yeah. So then he gets 3 other people because that was Dig was a fugitive for a while. That's why he got 3 other people. But then Dig came back.
Is it just 3?
Well, yes, because the overlap between Black Canary and Ragman is very minimal. So it's Wild Dog, Artemis.
There's like transition
Ragman.
Points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's like this.
But
whole,
it kind of all blends together, so you're like, who cares anyway?
I guess I thought there was
Yeah.
4 new recruits at one time, but I don't know.
They're not really. Well,
That
yes,
different-
there was.
Yeah.
There was
because
in
it
the very
before
beginning.
Artemis
Yeah.
turn-coded, which we'll get to. So there was that piece of it. There was Mayor Oliver, as he became mayor.
Weird.
There was Prometheus, who has a whole complicated backstory
Not
slash
signed off.
current story,
Yeah.
sort of. And then there is the flashbacks, which takes us squarely into Russia. Now, this is the first time Ali has spent the entire time in Russia. He's visited in the past. He talks to He-Man a lot for some reason, and he becomes a Russian. This is how he gets inducted into the Bratva, which was mentioned in previous seasons, but was really fully explored this season. So
It wasn't He-Man, it was Ivan Drago. I can't see
whichever.
I know.
Pick your poison.
Well,
Voice-wise, it was Ivan Drago.
Okay,
Fair.
fair enough. I just keep thinking of him as He-Man and Proto Arrow, but that's me. Anyway, talk about the season.
Nick's head's
I
going
don't
to
know what's
explode.
going on.
What do you like? What don't you like? And I'm guessing the second question is going to find more of a home in the conversation. So go ahead.
I'm overwhelmed by
I
topic.
did
Say, does somebody want to start?
I did not like Prometheus. I actually preferred him as Adrian Chase when he was just Adrian Chase. When he became Prometheus, it's like he turned into an adolescent, whiny little
He was
bitch.
Yeah.
such a little bitch.
Awful.
He really was just
I'm
a
like,
little
would you
bitch.
grow some balls and stop blaming everything
It's like,
on everybody
I think
else?
I actually-
particularly
Grow up, buddy.
Oliver?
I think I actually yelled, "Get over it!"
Yeah.
Like,
Literally.
It was worse than emo Spider-Man for me.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
it bothered me that they even called him Prometheus, because Prometheus is a character who can go toe-to-toe with the entire Justice League. Like, he's evil Batman. And this character is not Prometheus.
No, it was really an angsty teenager.
and the reveal that it was Adrian Chase, there was nothing to that.
There was
moment.
no surprise.
Yeah,
Right.
wow,
It was
maybe
like,
that's
oh, yeah.
anticlimactic.
It either had to be him or a character we didn't know.
Yeah.
It was dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. It was getting a little predictable.
Yeah, I don't feel he was very menacing, and I also feel that he was really tedious. I mean, I
That's
just
what
got,
it became. Really
I was
tedious.
so tired of seeing his face
And there
by
was
the end of the
so
season.
much time devoted to him.
Way too much
He
time.
was the villain for the whole season, right?
Pretty much.
And he was meant to be scary, but he wasn't.
Yeah,
it was
there
just
was
like
nothing menacing.
He didn't start percolating until the end of the first half, but Tobias Church, which was kind of the first
Yeah,
one.
I kept
Oh,
forgetting
yeah.
he was even there.
Right,
Those
well,
first
yeah.
episodes,
Ultimately,
like, they
yeah.
don't stay in your brain. Nothing...
Right.
And Tobias Church would have been a much better villain for the season.
Yeah,
The,
as an
the
overall.
screen presence, the actual feel of the character was so much more interesting than Prometheus.
Well, what was also annoying was that they were positing Prometheus as smart enough to get all of these different people, including Tobias Church, to ally with him in this anti-Green Arrow crusade. And I just never bought that.
Nope.
Well, just didn't
I
make
never
any
bought
damn
him
sense
figuring
to be,
out
sorry.
everything
Yeah.
about Ali, and then he also supposedly figured out everything about Barry by extension, and
Yeah.
the Legends of Tomorrow. Like, he figured out everything about everybody, and I just didn't buy that character as
No.
that smart or connected.
Well, he was such a contradiction to everything that was pissing him off, too.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you going around doing all... If that's what's making you mad, then it's like, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Doesn't make any friggin' sense.
No.
No.
And he just... Yeah, he was stupid.
Honestly, that's my main gripe with the entire season is Prometheus.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then they had to get, by the end of it, he had grown, somehow the storyline had grown so big that, they had to literally get the biggest posse to try to take him down. And it was just, I didn't personally feel he was that big of a threat, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a superhero.
And I was just never satisfied with the explanations. I really felt like the writers have done pretty well. People want to gripe on season 3, season 4. I never thought or felt that the writers really misstepped in those situations. There was a lot of network interference corporate interference that we were talking about previously, network interference. But this, I feel like they have probably complete free reign, and I think they mucked it up.
They struggled because it worked really well with Malcolm Merlyn and with Deathstroke having them have a personal connection to Ollie. But at this point, it doesn't. With everything they've covered in the flashbacks and everything, trying to do that repeatedly just is never going to work anymore.
Well, Malcolm Merlyn just made more sense overall.
There was still a good amount of backstory in this season. I did not mind that aspect of it. Honestly, it's just the Prometheus thing. I never got past how terrible it was. It was very much like you've walked into a conspiracy theorist's room and there's red strings going everywhere. That's how it felt like they wrote this. The thread was not continuous, and it was a bad character.
Yeah.
I didn't just struggle with Prometheus, though. I thought the Russia flashbacks were such a slogfest.
I did too.
Oh my gosh.
See, here, I thought they were building up to Anatoly being the season end villain, because he's a super villain in the comics, KG Beast. And so I thought they were building up to that. It's clever.
Wait, it's KG Beast?
Yes.
It's the Russian thing.
Oh, Lord.
You gotta remember when it was
This is
written.
from the 70s and
Yeah,
80s.
but still.
Marvel has the
Cold War. It was
chameleon.
during the Cold War.
While I found those flashbacks to be a bit of a slog, storyline-wise, I didn't mind them anywhere near as much as I minded the Prometheus stuff.
They paid off in the end.
And I liked the backstory fill-in. I think we're at the point now where we have Oliver's complete backstory.
So we don't have to do flashbacks anymore?
Yeah,
I'm hoping so.
I was going to say, I only really minded the flashbacks in season 1 and 2, and every person I talk to who watches these shows, that is one of at least the top 2 complaints is that the flashbacks are so beyond unnecessary at this point. There's different ways they could go into Oliver's backstory without doing those freaking
What else?
flashbacks.
What else do we have left of his backstory?
Because he was gone for 5 years, so it makes sense to be done. We've
Yeah,
had
it's
5 years of
seasons,
flashbacks.
5
Flashbacks
years,
ended
we've-
with him being rescued, so I don't see what else they could do with that.
When we've already...
You say that now.
Yeah.
And I like that some of the stuff from those flashbacks have presented themselves in the present.
They're trying
So
to connect it.
There's some connectivity there that works. That
Loosely.
on its own, while the particulars flashbacks themselves were a bit of a slog, story-wise, they were far more acceptable to me than the main overarching villain of this season.
I think they paid off. I
like the Russia flashback.
Better than the China ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
That.
See, I didn't hate the China ones.
No, I didn't mind those either.
I didn't hate
I like backstory with my characters. If you never heard of the Green Arrow and you'd never heard of Oliver Queen, they actually serve a good purpose. And part of what I think we have to remember as fans of some of the source material is a lot of people don't know those backstories. So to fill in and give people the full story, to me, is not essential, but
It's not.
it
As
makes
someone who
sense.
didn't know Oliver Queen or the Arrow
And
going
that's
into
not
the show,
always-
I
You know
don't
more
need
about him
it.
than you wanted
Yeah.
to at this
It's
point.
not.
Yeah.
Not
See,
even
for me, though,
always
the
accurate,
flashbacks
though.
didn't feel very Green Arrow.
No,
And
they're
ever
not.
since the China one, it feels like they're trying to shove a Jason Bourne movie
Yeah.
into
Into
these.
the flashbacks.
That's not
and-
Oliver Queen.
Yeah,
No.
to me, that's not Green Arrow. I would have just preferred him struggling to survive on the island and teach himself these
And it
skills.
made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
And that's what you get from season 1, and that is
That's what I'm
enough
saying,
to
it
explain
made-
why he's doing
it made
this.
sense
Yeah.
then.
It
It doesn't
was-
make sense
Yeah, for
now.
me,
Right.
for me, him training with Deathstroke, who's the best mercenary in the world, that would have been
Made perfect
more than
Yeah,
enough.
that made sense.
Plus, I love the actor who plays Deathstroke.
Yes.
Yeah,
I do
Matthew
too.
Bennett is
He's
really
great.
awesome.
He came back.
Yeah,
That's at the end
thank
of the
God
season.
DC let
Spoiler.
him
Yeah.
use Deathstroke again.
Yeah, right?
He's better than Will Smith was.
Oh,
Far.
Wait, isn't he Deadshot though?
yes.
No,
Yeah,
he's
he's
dead.
Yeah. Either way, he's still better than
He's
Will
still
Yeah,
Smith.
he's better than Will Smith as Deadshot.
That's true. Will Smith was just being Will Smith.
Yes. But
What else is new?
I land on, So one side of the table is saying too much backstory, and Spencer's basically saying I appreciate
One side of the
backstory.
table.
I like them to fill in some of those holes sometimes. They've overdone it for sure, but it wasn't as extraneous as maybe some people feel it was.
Well, I tend to agree with you a little bit more on this point, only because I don't think that Green Arrow is one of the more accessible or known heroes of the DC universe. But I
just think they could do it differently. That's just
I
my
just
opinion.
think, I just really...
I don't disagree with that.
I like how they did it with Deathstroke and how it came into the modern time. So I really thought that with the Anatoly stuff, it would matter more. And then it didn't really connect. I mean, other than he had some dealings with the Russians, but it wasn't as big as a thing as the flashbacks would have had me believe.
Right. Well, and in the end, I think... I mean, I understand why they did the 5 years of flashbacks. I was okay with that. But I do think this season of the Russia flashbacks just did not execute what they wanted to execute, or just didn't land for the audience. And it did pay off in the end, but really at the very end.
Right.
It took too long.
There was too much of it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the worst aspect of the season for me.
It was not. So let's talk about the dual identity. I mean, he is Mayor in the comics. That does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Mayor versus Green Arrow.
I really didn't mind some of those moments.
And I feel that...
But
I just
in
feel
the same
like
way
it's
as
not time yet, though.
well, in the same way as you need Batman and Bruce Wayne, you need Oliver Queen and Green Arrow. You don't want it to be one-sided. It's part of the appeal of these superhero characters is the regular everyday identity, and so without him being that millionaire playboy that he was at the start of it, you need him to be somewhere. Mayor works.
who else could be mayor at this point? Everyone's dead.
And if you're going to have to introduce a new team of heroes, I thought that was the best way to say, like, how he's stretched and that he needs this versus, like, just keep piling them on like they've been doing the previous seasons. It makes more sense that way.
I agree. I actually, the parts of the season I liked were predominantly in the mayoral office.
There was a lot more of the humanity of Oliver Queen
Yeah.
in those moments.
There was. And there was a lot more. Surprisingly, even though I do not like Thea as a character, and I still struggle with Thea as a character, we talked about this a lot on the previous. Thea's not popular, but I liked her relationship.
She's more
with,
tolerable when she's helping him in that format.
Yes, and when she's helping Quentin, I loved their bond with Quentin Lance, where she kind of filled in as surrogate daughters.
It's the best use of the character so far.
Really is, and I enjoyed it. And
Yeah, she works far better as
Thea.
Thea than she does as a sidekick, like
Speedy.
on the streets.
Who was totally unbelievable at all times. That's just how I feel.
I don't know. I said this before. I'll say it again. I found her like 12% more believable than Laurel Lance Black Canary, but
I'll agree with that too. Because she was trained by Malcolm.
she was trained by Malcolm.
Yeah.
That's
Whereas
the only reason
Laurel
I
picked
based
up
this
a couple
opinion.
of battens and started hitting a piece
That's
of wood.
what happened.
She took a couple hour lessons with that boxer.
That's true.
Oh, God. Yeah, she did.
Still one of my favourite Green Arrow moments is with the boxer where Ollie rolls through, spears the boxing glove and fires.
yes.
That's just such a great geek comic book moment.
I like it when he uses more than just regular arrows.
Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to do. The whole appeal of the character.
It's a big part of it, that's for sure.
What about the sidekicks? What about the sidekicks? There's so many sidekicks. Go through them all.
I just feel like it's taking away from Green Arrow. Why does he always need such a big posse?
More than that,
Because he's mayor.
the only one that I liked the whole time was Mr. Terrific.
He is really
Yes,
He's
like
so
he's
good.
the best part.
And I
He's
think
very
people's
engaging.
reception to him, how much people loved him, kind of gave the writers like, oh, people don't mind if we add new characters, and then they went a little overboard with it.
Well, and then the ones that they did add, I mean, Ragman might have been interesting, but that actor was a complete...
It was flat.
Completely wooden.
It was flat.
He was very muted.
Yeah.
Very muted. He didn't
had-
do anything.
And he could have been
Very
really
little personality,
interesting.
very withdrawn, very didn't belong as part of the team.
For a very obscure, bottom-of-the-barrel DC...
I liked the
Yeah.
character, but it was just, it was...
Do you think were they holding him back so you didn't know which one was going to betray Oliver? Or was it just too much throughout, even after we knew which one of the new recruits betrayed him?
But what's
I
that?
never suspected Ragman.
No,
No,
I pretty
I
much
always
suspected Artemis.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well,
Which makes me mad because
Oh.
Artemis is actually a Green Arrow sidekick.
Yeah. I hated that
But
character
Artemis-
though.
I do.
I hated
Artemis.
her.
But didn't Artemis betray Green Arrow at some point in the comic
In the
books
comics,
anyway?
yes.
So that
so
I
quickly.
believe.
It happened
It
so
happened
quickly.
extremely quickly and for completely the wrong reasons.
I always liked that character, though. She's complicated.
That's
This
true.
one is not complicated and is boring and
Yeah.
stupid. And I also don't like Wild Dog, which, by the way, is played by... He was on My So-Called Life way back when. He's
He was
on
on
a
Reaper.
lot of TV.
He's actually
Reaper.
actually grown on me some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Wild Dog.
It
Actually,
took a
I
bit.
hated him at the start.
I
I
hated
hated him at the
well.
start, too.
By the end of the season, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I actually don't
I don't
mind
like
him as
Wild
part.
Dog, yeah.
Especially him
Yeah.
and Mr. Terrific. Like, there's such
And I think
polar
it-
opposites.
They're a good balance.
One of my problem with the sidekicks was all at once they tried to force this team.
Yeah.
Team
Yes.
Arrow.
Well, a different team. Because
Yeah.
it was already a team.
Yeah.
Right. But
And
this
it
new
wasn't
team.
they, it was Felicity, because Ollie was against it.
I also,
Yeah, he
I
was
also-
very against
that's
it. He's
true.
like, why are you wasting my time with this? I don't have time for this.
I also wonder if this was partly market research on behalf of the team that controls the Arrowverse to see if they could get another spin-off. Yeah,
That's kind of what I felt too. Like when they had them
it's
all
like
together.
let's character test to see which one of these would work in their own
But then if
standalone
we
They
show.
didn't
like,
do a good job
I was
with those
gonna say,
characters.
but if we like them, then just leave them. Stop trying to. If that's the case, stop trying to change stuff. Just if they actually work, let it work. Stop
Yeah.
messing with stuff.
Yeah.
As you said, Wild Dog didn't really work until he was humanized, and he wasn't humanized until he
Right,
formed
he was
bonds
still-
with Mr. Terrific
right.
and with Quentin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quentin helped him out.
And his interactions with Quentin are some of
Angsty.
the characters' best.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
I really
Because
like
they
those
like the
two
they
Quentin
together.
relate to
character.
each other.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gotten so. Yeah.
What?
Well, plus he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Said I like
he
the
is.
Quentin character a lot in this
Quentin's
season.
fantastic.
He's awesome.
And I like that he has
He's
fully
stable.
embraced the Green Arrow now and is part of that inner circle.
Yeah.
It really makes sense.
He
But
helps
doesn't
Oliver.
hold back on his snark.
No,
Which
he's
I like.
Yeah.
he's going to say it how it is. They didn't take away from his
Yeah, he's
character
always
at all.
going to question if he doesn't agree. I like it.
Well, he's just
Yeah,
that
Paul
actor's
Blackstone is
awesome.
good. Paul Blackstone, is that his name?
And
Blackthorn.
Dresden.
Blackthorn.
Blackthorn, that's it.
Oh yeah, his real name Blackthorn.
Interesting.
I'm so
He played Harry
confused.
Dresden.
He played Harry Dresden. That was a good show.
Yeah.
It was really good.
That only
Kyle
lasted, what, 2
loves
seasons?
those books.
One season.
One
It was only
season.
like 13
What
episodes.
show?
Yeah, I got canceled.
It was good.
The Dresden
Sad.
Files. It's based off of the Harry Dresden novels.
It's a fun show. It wasn't given a chance.
Nope.
It was
Agreement.
on Sci-Fi.
It wasn't. Well, but sci-fi is usually pretty generous to its shows, but it must have been.
It was at a time when sci-fi was like having trouble, so they just couldn't afford the special effects.
Uh-huh.
Sadness. What about? Oh, okay, let's talk about the romances.
What romances?
Well,
Yeah.
so Olicity breaks apart,
So convoluted.
and then Oliver gets in with Carly Pope,
It's like 90210.
which I don't like her, and then
Yeah, I don't like that.
and then Felicity gets in with this detective named Billy Malcolm, who
Yeah,
ends
that
up
was-
dying.
He did.
Spoiler.
And how did he die? Oh, Oliver killed him. Okay.
Because Prometheus tricked him to doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Prometheus, you're such a bitch.
He really is just a bitch.
I mean, I just think that
Well,
the Billy
he
character
helped
was just
him
a
kill
big
an innocent
red
person.
herring for Prometheus.
Yeah,
I didn't even feel like he was a
he was.
It
character.
doesn't even
Like
make
he was just.
sense.
He was an
But it's-
annoyance the
Yeah.
entire
Yes.
season. Every time he came on the screen, like, oh god,
It's like a little mosquito you just can't get rid of.
It's part of what Hilary said. The motives of Prometheus don't make sense. If he's
No.
mad at the Arrow for killing his dad, who was corrupt,
He had so
Extremely
many,
corrupt.
He had
Yeah.
so
And
many
then even Oliver
opportunities.
said, I know my dad was corrupt. Like, I know he had problems. Because they had that exchange several times. Because he was like, well, what about your dad? And you can't say so. And he's like, no, I already know that. Like,
Yeah.
And
You're not
Get off
listening
my
to
back.
me.
And I didn't even believe. I didn't believe when they portrayed Ollie as broken by Prometheus.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel at all right.
no, because he
Yeah.
wouldn't have gone that far. I don't think he would have
All
gone
the
that far.
tortures and everything Ollie's ever gone through, like him, like going that much into self-doubt after
Maybe
the
He's
just-
literally
seasons.
learned how to deal with all of those things
Maybe
coming
he just
at
couldn't
him.
listen to the whiny little teenage bitch anymore. That
Yeah.
broke it.
Yes.
and then he
but I feel
was convinced that he's a murderer. Like he's only doing this because he enjoys killing people. Like I didn't. That was the end result
that
of
did
it.
bother me so
Oh.
much.
That's
I
why I'm
forgot
doing this
about
because
that.
I'm a murderer.
I slightly disagree on this point.
No.
No,
Your sister said no and voted no.
Valid.
I disagree, and I'm the moderator. So,
Here
Well,
we
you can be
go.
wrong.
all I'm saying is,
there's more of us.
there is more to it, but I'm loud. So what's going to happen here? What I
Fake news.
fake news, maybe. We don't know.
Okay, yeah, let's not go down that road. Tell us why.
We're all wrong.
Well, number one, I don't think he meditated in that state for a very long time, so it didn't bother me. He was basically over it by the next episode. But I think what they set that up against at the time was the flashbacks into Bratva, where he was basically kind of cajoled into torturing, I don't remember any of the Russians' names, I gotta be honest with you, but he was that major lieutenant that had betrayed Constantine, that Anatoly was trying to flush out.
Oh yeah, I know the one you mean.
Yeah, and Malcolm Merlin was in the same episode. He showed up to somehow deal with the Bratva, and I'm not even quite exactly sure why he was there.
Because he's just
Yeah, I was gonna
always
say, 'cause
there.
fans love him.
I
Yeah,
guess, I
like
guess
people
so.
actually like John Barrowman, so why are we arguing that?
It's not the point that he was there. I just didn't know what the hell he was doing there. But the moral of it was, in the backstory, it almost shows that, and by that time, Ali was kind of broken from all the things he had been going through, that he did kind of give in to the killing. So I think there was a little bit that I could believe in terms of rewiring his brain for just that split second, not to mention the fact that Prometheus shoots Artemis and he thinks she dies until he breaks. And I believed that moment. And it didn't last. If it had lasted, then I would be right where you are.
The only reason I was okay, I liked that moment just because it was something, again, that kind of brought Ollie and Felicity in each other's paths again, because she basically snaps him back into his normal thinking.
Which is the other payoff, which I liked.
I just don't believe Ali broke it. I mean, if having his mom killed in front of him by one of his best friends didn't break him, then I don't think anything Adrian Chase could say or do would break him.
Or maybe it's the cumulative effect of all of it.
I think you're just trying to justify it.
I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just explaining how I felt. So, which I think is still valid. My feelings are valid. That's what Sarah would say. So, that's how I feel. What about Talia al Ghul? She comes in these flashbacks.
I didn't like the actress
Oh
as
my
much.
god.
And Talia al Ghul
Talia
is
a
such an
much
amazing
cooler
character.
than was portrayed on this screen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you like Nisa al Ghul better than Talia, and in the comics
Yeah,
it's
what the
opposite.
hell is
Nisa is
that?
such a vanilla, bland character, and Talia is so interesting. And then this is completely
They flipped it.
And Talia is the mother of Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much wrong with the way that they portrayed the character in this. It just did not work.
No. Completely underwhelming.
Yeah, it was
I didn't
another
care about
reveal.
her vendetta.
It was just
Well, especially when she
dumb.
says that she's separated from her father because of his ways. She didn't agree with his ways, so then she goes and does this petty vendetta thing, which would be
One of
Nah.
his ways.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't agree with what he did. Oh, you killed him, now I'm mad at you.
Yes.
No.
So
What?
let me kill
Okay.
you and ally with this Prometheus dude. That's the part that I didn't believe either. So I don't know how that even worked.
See, 90% of the problems with this season all stem back to Prometheus.
Pretty much.
They're
So
trying to force things.
They are trying. Speaking of, Black Siren.
She's better as Black Siren than she
Yeah, I
was
was
as
gonna
Black
say,
Canary,
I
honestly.
like
Yeah,
her,
she's
I like
much
her better
more
than
interesting.
just plain Jane.
So
I mean,
much
yes,
more
it was
interesting
a
as a
forced
villain.
way to put Katie Cassidy back into the series, but I agree. I find her more entertaining when she's being Black Siren.
I found it a clever way to bring her back without bringing her back.
Yeah.
And it gave some range of character.
'Cause
It
people
showed her
was-
actually to be a slightly better actress than I thought she was.
Yeah.
As a villain, she's far more
12%.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11.5.
Sorry, Katie.
Sorry, not sorry.
She's a really
Yeah.
nice person.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's great.
I mean, and her scenes with Quentin were so much more interesting.
Everything about her was so much more
Yeah.
interesting. As a villain, she was just entertaining on the screen. As when she was Canary, she wasn't.
I wish, so here's my opinion on this, I wish they had made Black Siren the villain on the season. Maybe she's the villain in the next season, I don't know. but I wish that she had been the villain on the season. I don't know why she was connected to Prometheus. I did not buy that one bit.
No.
Well, why was anybody
Which-
connected?
did
to
he just
Prometheus,
break
really?
her? Did he just break her out? All I remember is when you first see her in there. Wasn't it the mid-season break? It was,
Yeah.
and I was like, we don't need
She
to
was-
deal with this right now.
Well, no, she was pretending to be Laurel at that
Right.
point. Or the Laurel they knew.
It didn't even
But
fit
then-
that Prometheus had a crew, honestly, at all. It didn't fit his character, even.
No, he's a sociopath. He would have wanted everything all on his own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very narcissistic.
Yeah. So I do like Black Siren, but I do feel like her entry was
She
forced.
could have been
Yeah.
used better.
Yes, that seems to be the running theme.
I guess that's hope for the next season.
Maybe.
I keep saying that though for like the last several seasons.
What about Felicity and Helix, the hacktivist organization?
That was interesting.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that storyline. That was maybe one of the best storylines of the season. You do
Okay.
not agree. Not at all.
Tedious, so tedious. The back and forth. I'm not going to tell Ollie because he's just going to judge me, even though you judged him for years. So I was just like, okay, and maybe that helped them come together in the end, so it was all worth it. But I don't know.
Maybe the motivation was tedious, but I found the storyline of her working with Helix itself to be one of the more engaging plot lines of the season.
It started off.
I just like her always being hackery. It's just fun.
I agree, and I think it
Severance.
started off. Yeah, I think it started off well, like exactly how you feel, Spencer, is how I felt in like the first episode. But then when it kept going, I was like, nope, I'm done.
See, I was fine with it until it segued into them hacking everyone's phone in the exact same plot
Oh,
as
yeah.
The Dark Knight.
There were
even with
there were several
exact same
aspects of the
lines from
season
that movie.
that were literally just like not even subtly taking from everything that's Batman. Everything.
That's where I was.
Yeah, when
going
Morgan
with
Freeman
this.
walked through. No.
Like,
That's exactly what I felt.
and not even just that movie, like many different outlets of Batman.
yeah, they're not even hiding it anymore.
No.
Get your own story.
You have ways to go on your own.
Yeah. There are definitely some Batman mirrorings that need to stop.
Unless they bring in Batman, then I'm okay with that.
I would love to see an appearance of Batman
Wouldn't
at
that
some
be
point.
amazing? They have not released the gag order on Batman.
Yeah.
They
They
don't.
keep
I don't know
referring to him
that-
obliquely.
Yeah, they can. Oh, they can completely acknowledge him now, and they did in this an episode in this season. But I don't want to spoil it.
Don't
You
double.
can't spoil it! They were specifically instructed not to. Because some people are more caught up than others. Not saying anything.
Exactly caught up to this week,
Me too.
including Supergirl.
Me
Good
too.
job. I am not. So, what about the? So I'm trying to drive you toward the end of this. People are like
Well,
waiting for me to prompt you.
We talked about the romances.
What?
I don't think
Yeah.
we touched on all of the romances.
We did.
We didn't.
We did.
We didn't.
We didn't.
No, I mean the
We did
relationship.
touch on them. We didn't touch on all.
The relationship
Guys.
between Oliver and Susan was just painful.
I hated it.
Yeah.
It was
I
so.
don't-
Another
like her.
force,
There is-
so there was
Yeah.
someone that could.
There was zero
They needed
interest.
the love
reason.
square.
Yeah.
It
So
was
that
a terrible square.
we're like experiencing life with Ollie and Felicity not together. And
It was just
what
painful.
leads them back together. And when they were finally kind of back together-ish, I was like, finally. I mean, if they're just gonna just get to it. You know what I mean?
I just didn't see the reason for that relationship. It was.
Still going.
Yeah.
Well, and she was obnoxious.
Yeah.
On top of, I'm not a big fan of that actress anyway, but
I just.
she's
yeah.
obnoxious.
It was just such a horrible.
That's me.
It was another piece of horrible writing.
It was.
Yeah.
It's like
No.
we've got to have romantic relationships. Yay!
Well,
No,
and the
you
other
don't.
thing is, neither of these off pairs in the square.
They had no chemistry.
No chemistry
No.
either way.
I'm gonna say it.
And that's a big part of the problem is when they pair actors that just
Yeah, they don't play
don't
well.
play well together. You don't believe that they would be in any kind of relationship, let alone a romantic one.
Yeah, that's where Oliver and Felicity, they definitely do have that on-screen chemistry that so many people love, but I'm kind of over their relationship a little bit. It's been will they, won't they? Oh, they're together, they're not together. They're together, they're not together for 5 seasons.
I don't know what they're doing there.
I'm just kind of
really.
like, pick one. Like,
stick to
stick
it.
So
to
you're
it.
not really mad at them. You're just again mad at the bad writing.
Is
Going back
Felicity
and-
Smoke a main character in the Green Arrow?
No,
universe?
she's
No,
a Firestorm
she's-
character.
I don't know.
Which I was totally fine with. I mean, I didn't really care about that because, Emily has always done such a great job.
Well, I think that's where this problem comes from. Is she's done such a great job that they can't
everybody loves her.
Everyone loves that character. Everyone loves that actress playing that character, and she doesn't necessarily belong in these storylines.
Yeah, because Oliver should be with
Dinah,
Black Canary.
Well, they all done messed that up, so...
Yeah, it's going to be a problem. They're going to have a hard time getting there at this point.
And I love
But
Black
will they
Canary,
get there?
but-
I don't know that they will ever.
Well, I'm sure he'll end up with another Black Canary
Or
at some
maybe,
point.
maybe he'll convince Black Siren to heal her ways, and then it will be like.
See, that's
full
what I'm worried.
circle.
That's what they're going to do next
But
season.
that's
Is just have her
so
redeem and then
cheesy.
just step back into Laurel Black Canary.
But that's what I'm saying. Stop doing that.
It's like, stop retconning. She died. Just
Lazarus
move
Pit.
along with your
You
bad
just should
decisions.
never have killed her.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I didn't love her, but you shouldn't have killed her.
Yeah.
That's just terrible.
I don't know. But I just thought since they brought in
I
Dinah
know.
Drake, and isn't that really the Black Canary's name? Or is that one of the iterations
She's the
of
first
Dinah
iteration.
Laurel Lance is the first.
Is
canary.
okay, and then there's a Dinah Drake as well, who's a
Yes.
Black Canary. Okay, I don't know.
They're just trying to make it. They're just trying to force it because people were upset about it.
Yeah, I like
There's a lot
Dinah.
of force.
I like her
her
too,
quite a
but
bit.
it's too little, too late.
yeah.
There's redemption availability still.
Maybe we'll see.
For
I
Black
keep
Canary.
hoping.
I mean,
If Dinah Drake stays as Black Canary, I think the character can be redeemed.
Yeah.
It just depends on what they do with the writing, though, and that hasn't been ultimately always very
And
successful.
it could well be that the writing is just spread so thin with the Arrowverse as a whole now.
Yeah.
You
Running
know, you've
on
moved writers that started on Arrow in season 1 that went over to Flash, which diluted what was going on in Arrow and gave you some of the convolution. And we're even seeing some of that in some of the Flash episodes where the writing is weak.
Yeah,
Not to this level.
no. I think Arrow's problems are a little bit different than diluted
Yeah.
writing, and I really think it.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of it has to do with that interference stuff that happened before. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't think they mapped it out past a certain point. I mean,
Well, to be fair to them, when you come with a completely new property, a completely new concept, and bringing a live-action comic book show to TV, mapping out beyond the first season is kind of superfluous. You have no idea whether it's even going to get through 13 episodes.
that's true, but I think, and we spent a lot of time, and I know because I listened to these preparing for the next one, we spent a lot of time in the last episode talking seasons 3 and 4. Kyle spent a good-sized portion discussing how the Suicide Squad movie basically
Completely derailed all the
derailed their
yeah.
whole thing, because they had that was like going to be the plan.
Well, how many of the
for-
characters that
Season
were in
3.
Suicide Squad did we lose from Arrow because of Suicide Squad?
Afro.
Well, exactly.
They
So
were
I-
going to be the overarching villain that season, and then like 5 episodes in, they had to completely change their plan.
So I mean, they could still be
Changes things
recovering
for you.
from that interference.
I think they are. I also think some
Different
of the wind's been
perspectives.
sucked out of their sails because of that.
Yeah.
I do.
I mean, yeah, some
Yeah.
of the things were unfortunate. Happenstance or whatever.
so it's a case of the writers doing their best.
Yeah, like their hands are chained. They're trying to write what they can, but
I mean, is that not
Does
another
that
case for
explain the
hope?
Black
and
Canary
it still
stuff?
doesn't really explain,
No.
Adrian Chase.
Adrian
Yeah.
Chase just
It doesn't explain Prometheus.
So I was saying you
It
can't
doesn't
forgive
explain
all
their
of it. You
handling
can
of the
forgive
Black
some of
Canary.
it, but you can't forgive all of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain the fact that he's like cycled through sidekicks like tissue paper.
There's some high spots though. I mean, Mr. Terrific is terrific.
He is terrific.
He is.
Absolutely a great fun character.
How did you enjoy his balls?
His balls were hilarious. The most hilarious balls on TV.
I still like how he has time to get his hair all into the rose and,
And
get the
paint the
cheese
face.
painted on
Right?
his face.
Yeah.
He's gotta have.
He
some
has
balls
very
of
high
prep work.
maintenance hair.
I'm like, how does he do that?
Because he goes from cornrows when he's Mr.
like,
Terrific to full-on afro when he's not. But then 10 minutes later, the cornrows are back. Yeah.
Maybe the afro's a wig.
That's the only way I
Really.
could. I don't know.
I want the scene of him changing.
He does change the whole tone of everything, though, when he's in the scene. And I
Maybe
like
that's
that.
part of his secret superpower.
Yes!
We don't know.
Keeps
Maybe,
things
maybe
light.
his balls do his hair.
Maybe his balls do do his
yeah.
hair. That's
They're
some kind
called
of acrobatic.
T-spheres.
It's true.
And you actually had the same look on your face as he had on his. You got to admire a guy who runs into a scene and just throws his balls at people. That's for a different podcast.
Is it? What podcast podcast.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if I want to be on that.
Oh, come on, you're addicted.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is going down a bad road. I love it. So let's drive toward the end of the season now. It was already referred to.
The
Because the rest
reset
of we
button.
just kind of breezed over.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if there's anything you want to talk about, say.
Did we talk about the new Black Canary at all, or just was it my little passing bit?
It's just your
Okay.
passing by
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah, we talked. Well,
Okay.
because it became a rant about how they treated the Black Canaries.
Yeah.
That's kind of true.
Okay.
Okay, I've accepted that. We can.
One of the best moments was when Slade got pulled back into.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was so happy.
And Slade
Captain
was not
Fury.
all hopped up on Mirakuru anymore.
Yeah,
Which
he was normal Slade.
he's
he was
just
the
like, hey,
Slade that
kid.
we loved in the earlier
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and
Which
I
is like,
enjoyed that.
that's the Slade I love, not like the crazy mad dog,
No.
but the wise, world-weary
Wise,
soldier.
a little bit of
Yeah.
smarminess.
Yeah.
But still ready to
But
turn
still
on
ready.
a dime,
Yeah.
as he did.
Yeah.
Self-serving.
Self-serving.
Serving.
The Silver
Or
Fox.
Yeah.
The Silver Fox. Do you have hearts for
He's a
Deathstroke?
good-looking older guy. I'm just gonna say it. So,
He is. He's, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's handsome.
yeah. Even with the eye patch, I'll take it.
And
Maybe-
they brought back
maybe
Captain
because of
Boomerang,
the
who's one of
eye
my favorite B characters. But like, I'm just so excited because they can put him back as a rogue on Flash now,
Again, because of the Suicide Squad movie.
Yes. Oh, right.
and that actor is so
Because
much
Captain
better,
Boomerang
that
is
portrayal.
barely in the Suicide Squad
Well,
movie.
he
Very
was barely
true.
in this
And he's-
episode, too, so I was
Yeah.
like...
But still, just
He
the fact that
actually
he...
he had some good fight scenes still, and in this, like as she mentioned, the Suicide Squad movie, he throws 2 boomerangs and he misses both times.
Which
Yes,
is
you said
doesn't-
that the last time. This is apparently something you're dwelling on.
He's like, I love the villains, and so when they get them so wrong,
Yeah,
it really sticks me.
I understand.
That's one thing that this show has done well in all five seasons. We're in season 6 now that we're not talking about yet. But that's one thing that they've done well continuously is the fight scenes are usually pretty damn fun.
They are.
They are fun. Well, and it's because Steven does all of his own stuff.
I was going to say, I mean, one thing is for sure, he's still... I mean, you still feel like you're at least watching the Green Arrow when he's in the middle of all that.
And whoever is the fights director, whoever the camera work and all of that, they really spend a lot of time
I think that's a
on
big part of why I've kept watching it.
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Outside of that window of where they've messed it up, there are still those moments where it really is a fun show.
It works.
It echoes what it used to be, a little bit.
Well, anyways, he kidnaps William.
Yes, Prometheus kidnaps Oliver's son William, who's been off living with his mom for a while.
And he's kept him secret.
kept him secret, from everybody, which is why Felicity and him broke up to begin with. That's the whole thing.
Get over it,
Watch
Felicity.
the-
I know,
Whatever.
come on.
You're kind of a bitch about that.
I agree.
It seemed out of character too for Felicity.
She
to
would
do
not
that.
do
It
that.
just seems so out of
No.
character.
She
I was
would
really
not
mad
do
at
that.
that story.
How
Yeah,
can
me
you?
too.
How can you seriously? It's so unbelievable that she would not be understanding about that.
In fact,
Especially at that point in the relationship,
Yeah.
they were close to getting engaged and married, and then
you know, as we look back through all of our negatives, a lot of it is because characters do things contrary to their character.
Yeah.
You're not following your rules. What are you trying to be, Gotham?
Actually, at this point,
Mind
Gotham is doing
blown.
a better job than Arrow is.
Whoa, that's a bold words.
I'd agree with Spencer.
Whoa!
Well, I'm talking about Gotham that we haven't talked about yet, though.
Right,
The
okay,
most
fair.
recent Gotham stuff is really starting to take shape, whereas Arrow seems to be going the wrong direction.
It
Gotham
seems
is
to
going
be
in the
turning
right
into
direction.
a blob and less of shape.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I will say out of the 4 DC shows that I watch, Arrow is the one that I have to force myself to watch. It's my least
more than
favorite.
Legends.
More than Legends.
Oh yeah, Legends.
And
Is,
Legends-
is always just quirky
I
fun.
was just
Yeah,
curious. I
it's
was-
fun, but
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know what you're going to get with that. It's
Right.
been that way since the beginning. So
Yeah.
Honestly, I put Arrow slightly above Legends.
that's
but
just because
I
you
do
don't
too,
see
but-
them now.
Yeah.
I still enjoy all of the DC shows. I just wish that they would not have so many storylines where the characters. It's almost like they flip a coin for decisions because they have no grounding center point
Yeah.
for that character anymore.
Or they just want a storyline to go a certain way. And
Yeah,
they're like,
so
well,
they just quickly
we don't want them
I-
together, so Felicity doesn't.
I agree with this.
she
Yeah, I
hates
think
William.
that's right.
Yeah.
She
That.
hates it.
I don't know.
So not only does Prometheus kidnap,
Kyle and I are both having the same thought. I can tell.
William, but
Sorry,
he
Hilary.
takes him
Get
to Lian Yu.
Because everything goes back to Lee.
I knew everything all
God.
the time.
Go somewhere else.
They're done with it, right?
They have that set. They need to use
Just go
it.
somewhere else. Somewhere else.
Go to freaking France. I don't care.
So what happens is, this is where Prometheus's quote-unquote team kicks in. Renee, Dinah, and Curtis are kidnapped by Prometheus. Thea and
Yes, they're
Quentin are
being held
kidnapped by
hostage
Black
as well.
Siren and Artemis. Felicity and Dig are kidnapped by Talia and the League of Assassins. So in response, Ollie recruits Nissa to go against her sister. Malcolm
It's so
Merlin.
funny when you say it like this.
No, but it's
Nissa.
true. It's kind of ridiculous.
Nissa, Malcolm Merlin. And they
'Cause
all
why
end
not?
up on Leanne Yu. And then Oliver breaks out Slade Wilson.
Because
And
he's still
Captain
there.
Boomerang.
Who is taking care of the people in the prison?
There was a guard.
Yeah, there's one
They
guard.
showed a
I
guy.
said that at
Guard.
first too, but then he said, "Well, you don't know. There could be other guards." But I said the same
They're
thing.
sleeping.
There's other islands. They probably
The
do
fun-
rounds.
the fun
Where did
thing
they-
On the
is-
beach.
Where do they poop?
So
There's
same
no
place the
toilet.
metahumans poop in the flesh.
So the funny thing here is that all of a sudden Oliver has to trust all these people that he can't trust,
Right.
and his team of fairly much expert sidekicks are suddenly completely useless and all manage to get themselves kidnapped.
That's what
yeah,
happens.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm
What
saying.
the fuck were you writing?
Why does
Moral
he
is
even have a
Oliver is a
posse?
terrible mentor.
It's a great ending.
No, it wasn't.
It is so wrong that they're all just suddenly useless and can be easily kidnapped like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
That
I'm
felt
saying.
like
It
backwards
defeats the
writing.
point of him having a posse to begin
It's
with.
like we suddenly need
Which
to
is
get
what
all
I'm
these people
saying.
in a position of predicament. How do we do it?
Yeah,
let's have a
I
kidnap.
think they ended with blowing up the island with everyone on it. How do we get them there?
Wait, quick question.
Kidnap.
Quick question. Who kidnapped William's mom? I don't think you said that.
No one kidnapped Mom.
How did she get there? Did she go with?
She went with them.
She was on holiday and her travel agent was shit.
She just went with them to
She
get
went-
with
she
them.
went-
She went with them because she
Okay.
was like, "I'm going to go with you. He's my son."
He's
Wow.
my son. You can't keep me here. There was a whole thing. So, no,
And then,
you know
like-
what distracted them? You know how they got hoodwinked was the surprise party for Ollie. That's
Surprise.
what I know. That's what took them all.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They're still supposedly highly trained. I mean,
But still.
I was being
Yeah.
sarcastic.
Okay.
Wouldn't they have like surveillance in their areas? Like, why is
yeah,
nobody
especially since they
like
know
alarms
Adrian
and
knows
shit?
who we all
Like,
are.
Well,
We're
the
not
other
gonna
thing
be-
is they're all switched on all the time. These are people that would be switched on all the time. So anything that seems even remotely out of
Right?
place would be a
Like
trigger for them.
Ollie
Yeah.
is like super highly sensitive to everything. Like he should be reacting like right away. Oh, like all of them.
Mr. Terrific's ball should be on patrol.
Really?
His balls should have been vibrating with like anticipation of something going wrong.
We've suddenly gone into like PG rated podcast. Apple's gonna kick
Sorry,
us
T-spheres.
off.
T-spheres.
T-spheres.
It's fine, Apple.
So they all end up on the island because Nick's right. Basically, they had to get him to the island. And they
Yeah.
learn that Prometheus has not only sabotaged the only means of escape, but also rigged the entire island with C4.
How did he do that when
Well
he was?
planning out his master plan.
Yes.
Who did it for him is the real
Oh,
question.
he did it himself. I mean, come on.
He had
Would he
he had
trust
an afternoon
anybody?
to spare, so he just took
Yeah.
off the C4 onto Leanne
Yeah.
Yu.
And every
close.
so many feet on this miles wide
White Island.
Yeah.
Which is like, isn't it
The,
like
the
Canada?
amount
It's
of, he
Canada.
had more C4 than the entire country of Cambodia.
Quite possibly.
Maybe with some other ones thrown in there too.
Yeah.
You know, he just took a little 2-week break
Funny
from the
'cause
mayor's
it's
office and just went and planted the C4 like flowers.
Nobody
Apparently you can
noticed
pick
he
it up
was
at the local
gone.
Home Depot.
Yeah.
Nobody noticed he was gone.
And shipped it all there, like, really?
Even though he was in every
Episode.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means he
So
did it way
believable.
before.
So not only that,
Oh yeah, he started with that. He knew his end game.
Yeah, there's so many, like, as if it's everywhere on the island. Wouldn't some, like, an animal or something have triggered one or two
There's no
of them?
animals there.
Well, it was the dead man switch, right? Like, the way he
bird.
rigged it, like, if he died,
That's
it would
right.
blow up. So,
it would only blow up if he died.
he probably didn't have them activated.
Why didn't it go off when Malcolm Merlin stepped on the C4 if it was every so many feet?
His was
This
a
is a mine.
land.
An
I know,
old
but I'm saying,
landmine.
supposedly all this
Actually, Thea
explosives
stepped
were
on it.
everywhere
Yeah,
on the
and
island.
then
Yeah,
Malcolm
It
he
was
was
set
stepped
off.
on it.
Reaction.
Yeah, he was having a dad moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Merlin made the ultimate sacrifice.
So
Off
we
screen.
think.
So
Off
clearly
screen.
he's dead forever.
Yes.
Well,
Probably
Well,
the
even John
explosion
Barrowman
probably
thought he
threw
was
him
dead
into the
forever because he
Lazarus
told
pit.
everybody that.
John Barrowman got a little sassy though, so I don't know.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, he really, like he literally was telling everybody that he was
He
off
thought
the
he was
show,
dead.
which is why I was so pissed because I was like, no, you shouldn't get rid of him.
He was off. It was off screen though, so I feel like
No,
They're
I
open.
think
if they can bring Laurel back, they
Yeah.
can bring him back.
they'll bring him back at
Agreed.
some
There's
point.
an Earth 2 Merlin too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another answer
3,
for everything.
Earth
19.
23.
Earth X.
He just confused Kylie.
I don't know what he's talking about.
It
Are
was
you going with
great.
iPhones now? Again?
No.
Too soon.
No, there's an Earth X thing coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
Oh.
Oh, the crossover. You're making a tease.
I am. I was teasing.
Speaking of teasing, there were no crossovers in this half of Arrow.
No.
It was only
Yeah.
just the ones at the
beginning.
mid-season. Yeah. So boo on you, Arrow.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess Merlin being in.
He doesn't count because he started on Arrow.
He did.
Arrow's where he lives.
I meant Merlin went to the Flash
Yeah.
Supergirl.
He went. Well, of course
Episode.
they were.
I mean,
why
it'd be
wouldn't
cool
he?
if he did.
He'll be
Just-
back. As I think Deathstroke will be back, since apparently
I
I
hope
just
so.
loved.
he's happy and alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just loved them saying hi to each other. He was like, "Hey, kid," you know, just that whole exchange was
That
great.
was
Yeah.
actually really nice because it showed that the Mirakuru was way down in
Yeah.
his system and
Yeah.
he was more grounded again.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had season 1/season 2 feels at that point.
It was
Yeah.
more of that
'Cause
mentor
it was
kind
nice.
of moment.
Yeah, and it was like you believe that there's a possibility that it could go back to that.
Maybe be.
Hopefully.
Is that the last time we saw Deathstroke? Was season 2?
He came
Came
back
back
once.
And one throwaway episode in the season with the Damien Dark season.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it the 4th season?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I'm not sure.
Oh, no.
It's
It all
blending.
blends together after a while.
Yeah, he did come back once because
Prometheus is the worst villain that has been
They've
in
had.
any of the DC shows to this point.
I'll agree with that. I think all the Legends villains have been much more compelling. All the Supergirl villains have been much more compelling. That's easy, very easy.
I mean, even the Shark Man from Flash was more interesting.
King
than
Shark?
King
Prometheus.
Shark.
Yeah.
Land
Land Shark.
He was off.
Chevy Chase.
That's a different shark. And that's what Nick tried to say the last time. Land shark. I can't think of his name.
No. Just Prometheus. Everything that's wrong with this season stems
Was
around
Prometheus.
Prometheus. They decided on that being the villain. The actor they got was okay as Adrian Chase. Actually, I quite liked him as Adrian Chase. But as Prometheus, he was just annoying.
Well, and it just, I never believed it.
No.
I never believed any of the things that he said were the motivations for what he was doing. I never believed how he was able to achieve such grand scale plans.
Right.
I never believed.
I didn't even
anything.
believe his own
His
killing of himself.
plans
It
were
was so
grander
bad.
than the Joker's. It's like, and
That's right.
and it's like, no.
I know. This was very complex, like, kind of Batman stuff that I didn't. He's not a Batman villain. It's just not the same.
How did it end exactly? What's the
So-
last couple moments?
He
The
blew his
last-
own head off.
Yeah.
Oliver's
I
on the
go
boat
up.
with William, saving him
I
from
liked that.
Prometheus.
I just liked Oliver fighting for William.
Yeah, Oliver's interaction with William was
Was
good.
good.
because it brought out again that emotional side, and because he's always very rigid and things.
But to answer Nick's question and the listeners, that's what's happening. They're
Yeah.
basically at each other's throats, and then
On the
Prometheus-
And everything else.
And everything
every-
else is at stake.
Everybody else is on the island. They're trying to get to the other side of the island where a possible escape route is. And
So
then
we just know that Oliver and William are alive.
they're on the
Correct.
boat.
Everyone else.
could be.
I mean,
be-
really,
Could be dead.
Does anybody expect any of the main
No.
cast to be killed in that explosion?
There's a
That's-
lot of
It's supposed to
expendable
be like this
people
big-
too, though.
I was gonna
Who
say they
cares?
can kill people off whenever.
Yeah.
So
Some of
Yeah.
them could
Somebody
be.
got a hangnail, probably. There's no one to bring them all back.
I don't know. It just feels like they've invested so much time into certain characters, and seems like there's plans for certain characters. I don't know. There's a handful that I know they won't kill for sure, but
And it's a shame because they actually have the opportunity to do a full-on reset, and
they're not. They're going to take
Yeah.
the easy way out with an expendable character.
Well, the hopeful side is even if they do manage to bring as many of these characters back as they want, they at least write it in a believable way. That's the part that I want them to do, and I don't know that they're going to be able to make it happen because they haven't made it happen for this season.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
So-
feel like the stakes were high with the
No.
cliffhanger at the end of
No.
the season. I'm like, okay, everybody's gonna live. It's gonna be fine.
I
Well,
thought it was tense.
I just didn't care.
and
Well, because it
interesting.
was everyone, you're like, well, someone could. I mean,
Yeah,
they
there's-
didn't kill off everyone, which means
I mean,
Anyone
and the
could
fact
be
that they
alive.
were all
Yeah.
They're
being-
probably all
all they needed to do
alive.
was dive in the water, and they would
They're
survive.
all-
Yeah.
they're all alive.
Yeah,
Prometheus skimped on the C4.
Well,
Run a little
there was
short.
Still,
Yeah.
there was still some tension to that moment.
Wait, how
'cause
did
the
he
kid
plant that
was in it.
C4 without
there
that
was-
one guard noticing?
Well, there.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not like
Argus
wouldn't
really
have.
sucks.
Argus would have surveillance all over the
I know.
island.
I think it's clear that Argus sucks in this universe, don't you?
I think Argus sucks at every universe.
There's a whole conversation we didn't talk about where Dig and Lila were having their. Dig was basically saying, Lila, this is why I divorced you the last time, because you're being morally not above the
Like
line.
her predecessor at Argus.
She's become her
Amanda
predecessor.
Waller.
She's become Amanda Waller. Yeah.
No one
Season
knows about
6.
that,
Well,
huh?
Season 6 is going to be better than Season 5 because I don't think it could be.
Any worse?
I don't unless they have
Oh, no.
another really bad villain.
Don't say that.
I know. I didn't think I would
'Cause you
not
don't
like
know.
a season less than I like season 3. And
The
I-
thing
Yeah.
is with superhero shows, your show is only ever going to be as good as your villain. If your villain sucks, your show is dragged down wholly
Yeah.
with it. And that's what happened with season 5.
I
Because
buy
there
that.
were a lot of good aspects to it. There's still great cast and great acting. There's still great visuals and fight scenes and all of those things. But when your villain sucks, you lose that interest. You know, you need your Joker versus your Batman. You need your Captain Cold
don't
versus...
give him another thing to copy with Batman. Somewhere else.
But you need to have Captain Flash. You need
Yeah.
all of those contrasting characters. And Prometheus just wasn't a contrasting character.
no.
Not in the way that they wrote him.
He was a tool. He was an emo kid in a suit with a bow and arrow.
He's a tool.
Well, hopefully with the return of Deathstroke will be Green Arrow's Joker equivalent.
He's not
Or-
evil anymore.
Right now.
For now.
It would be
I don't
nice
think
to
they'll
see
go back
that
to that.
return, but I don't know that they'll go back because
Why would they?
their buddy aspect works
And
so
honestly,
well.
Deathstroke, even in the comics, he's never a villain.
No,
he's never
he's-
evil. He's
he's
always
self-serving.
Yeah,
He's
he's self-serving.
self-serving.
He's never that Mirakuru psychopath, and I don't want him to go back to that.
I'm not saying he has to go back to the psychopath.
I
I'm
could
just
see
saying-
them working together, but then other times coming up against each other
Yeah.
again because their interests are on different side of the argument.
Right.
So,
And to be fair,
going backwards
Oliver's
and forwards-
morally ambiguous too.
Right.
He just lands
Yeah.
on the good side more often.
Yeah, Oliver's not as self-serving as Deathstroke is.
No, he's literally trying to serve all of his principles.
He's trying to save
So
the city.
he's trying to save the city. Yeah.
But do the ends justify the means?
Sometimes.
That's for another podcast. That's a petty philosophical discussion. So I guess here's a question. Do you want to see Prometheus, Artemis, the Al Ghul sisters, or any of the new team members from this season again?
No.
I don't care at all about one of those villains you just listed, and thankfully Adrian Chase cut his own throat, and
So
hopefully
he's
there is just
done.
no coming back from it. And if there is coming back from it, maybe he severed his vocal cords and we went to
Lazarus
listen to him.
Pit, Talia probably
Or a
belonged
real
there.
Prometheus
She's
shows
stupid.
up and is like,
But
that
then
guy
they
was just a
destroyed
tool.
him,
Yeah.
Unless they fixed it. I thought they destroyed it.
Artemis I could see coming back.
The
could
Lazarus
use the
Pit
la-
brought
they-
back the Lazarus Pit.
And I'm sure we'll see
She's
the
the one
Artemis
that-
someday.
It's like an earthworm.
Did
the Lazarus Pit in
Artemis
Gotham.
survive, or did she get her neck snapped?
She was on the
She's on the island when it blew up.
Who got
Oh,
the
was
next
she?
name?
Yeah,
I thought, sorry, I thought Prometheus snapped her neck in the cell. Like,
her and Black Siren kidnapped some of the people and ended up on Lian-Yu.
no.
I
Maybe
don't
I
know
just
what
imagined her
happened to her.
getting her neck snapped.
And the Black Siren, Black
Yeah.
Canary fights were fun.
Yeah,
They
like
are
Black
fun.
Siren can still be there. She's fine. It just doesn't make sense that she would team
Well,
up
it was
with-
already announced she's a series regular. So
Yeah.
it
Well,
makes
there
me
you go.
regular.
She's
So
a 4-show series regular.
Yeah.
Cool.
she will definitely be back. And like I said, as a villain, she works. I don't care if she's on
Yeah.
the show at that point because she actually works.
I would like to see her be the main villain on one of the shows. It doesn't always have to be Arrow, but I want to see them use her as a main villain.
I think it'd be most fun on Arrow, though, just because that's where the
That's where the
characters
connections
started.
are. But
Or Legends, because
Yeah,
it'd be up
that's-
against her sister.
Or at least a one episode crossover.
yeah,
Right. Probably what happened. You just wrote the crossover. Oh, no. Earth X.
Sometimes it seems like it is that easy to write.
Yeah,
Snappy.
100 monkeys on keyboards.
Aww.
You'll get a story eventually.
You brought the monkeys from Gotham over to the Arrowverse.
The monkeys left
Voices did it
Gotham.
on their own.
Oh, boy.
They're under contract with DC, so they,
Yeah.
they
Oh,
move
I
around.
see. The monkeys
No,
are
I'm really
spread
enjoying
out.
this new season of Gotham.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
The newest season of Gotham has been the best one yet.
Shut
Oh,
up.
birds.
I'm not that caught up. So
I don't
the
watch
fact
Gotham.
that you're
so,
saying-
yeah.
I mean, you're not even invested, and he is super invested. I'm just saying, there's two different. There's
Levels.
Yes, that.
Dr. Bashir.
Oh, that's why. Everything's explained.
Wait, what? I
I'm-
missed it.
I'm
Zach
lost.
Bashir's
Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul.
Still don't care for that character.
Okay. Any villains you want to see in season 6? Don't tell me ones you already see.
A better one.
I think I say this at the end of every Arrow season, but I want to see a real Count Vertigo, his main villain.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the two we've had have not
With
been
the
that
drug
great.
vertigo.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like, again, going back to what we've said, they have
Oh.
material to go from.
Exactly.
They just are
That's
not
what I don't
using
understand
it.
when
That is
any
what it's
of
not.
these
And-
comic book shows
but
fail.
I still believe
Fail.
that's probably because of network involvement.
it. They suffer.
They are protecting certain properties, and it's a shame because it really has been a detriment to Arrow more than any of the others. The limitations that were placed on them in seasons 3 and 4, and I think that carried over into season 5. Hopefully, in
mean-
season 6, we will see a more solid
Yeah.
storyline.
Without Leanne Yu, without flashbacks.
Stop flashbacking.
Stop going to
OMG.
Lee and you. You've blown up the island. We're done.
I'm hoping that's why they
Yeah.
did it.
I hope so. It's like they have to stop now. I'm tired of it.
I think everyone is.
Kristen has spoken.
Well, like every time something happens, we gotta go back to that island. It's like Lost.
Yeah.
We've gotta go back.
I see a polar bear, I'm done.
Well, and he's like, I spent 5 years in hell. I'm like, you were never on the island for
Yeah.
that long. I'm like,
Seriously.
you were in Russia and everywhere.
China.
You were hardly ever on the
You
island.
literally
You
are
were
like,
on the island for like 8.5 minutes.
you're
Where
like
was
a
he during the
globetrotter.
4th season? Where
What?
was he during the 4th season when he met Constantine?
Who cares?
I don't know. Oh, see,
No, I think that was back on Lee.
I think it
better
was.
than you.
Yeah.
Oh, fourth season of Damien Dark, yeah, they dropped him on, Argus dropped him back off on Lian Yu at the end of the season.
So he could get discovered and then he got taken off to Russia again or whatever.
Yeah.
They just shouldn't have done that.
No, it's always like, you're off the island. Oh, you're back on the island to cover your story. You're off the island. Oh, you're going to go back on the island to cover your story. It's like, who cares? Call your mother. Have her come get you.
That could have solved all the problems. Though I might never have discovered something. This keeps popping open. Would you recommend Arrow to others?
Not right now.
No, not right now.
I still would.
I mean,
it's
they
a very
just
fun
started season
No.
1.
comic book
No.
show.
If somebody
they-
watched the first
and-
couple seasons and asked me if they should keep watching, like, well, if you've already invested, yes.
Yeah,
But
okay.
don't
Because
start
it still has
now.
its moments.
Yeah.
There are still episodes that are really, really good.
I just feel like outside of my nerdy friends, no one that I know would probably get invested.
You wouldn't even recommend
Yeah.
them watch the first 2 seasons?
Oh, no, of course I would.
I would tell
But
them to
then-
skip season 5 for the Prometheus storyline.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons, of course, but that's the problem. You're going to be setting yourself up for disappointment, and I already know that.
Real disappointment.
I think if you're interested in the Arrowverse, you kind of have to watch those first 2 seasons.
And I think I'm going to just keep watching out of hopeful.
Yeah, I'm still, of course, I'm going to watch it out of hopefulness,
hope there's gonna
but I've
come up
said
Because you
that the
have to, or because you want
I want to.
more because I have to, but I still kind
all
of want
comes
to
out.
because I've said this like the last 3 seasons though, but I hope it gets better.
I still
I
want
feel
to.
like
It's the
I
genesis
feel like
of
there
it.
were I feel like there were beats in the direction though towards the end of the season. Like it started to feel when
More
things
like a
were
return.
yeah, like the way things were blending that it could go that way. But again, it just depends on how they choose to do it.
So you're saying Arrow has, in the comic books, a nemesis that they're not using?
They've used him twice, and they've used
But
2
just-
different characters, but none of them
Two
are
different
comic book
actors.
actors. They just
Yeah, 2 different.
yeah, they just in
Name
name
only.
Count Vertigo, but nothing like because Count Vertigo is his Joker. It's his main villain. There's so many good stories with him that they could use, and they just ignore them.
It's been 5 years.
Yeah,
See,
He was in once in the first season, and once in the second season, and it was 2 different people playing him.
I
both
think
times.
I don't think he's questioning where he showed up. I just think he's questioning the logic.
yeah.
Oh.
And then the
Like they
times
spend a whole
used him, he's
season
like,
on Prometheus.
yeah, the times
and-
they've used him,
okay.
he's just been like a little side drug dealer instead of an actual threat.
Yeah, he started off pushing the Vertigo drug.
Which was more interesting than Prometheus.
Yes, it was.
That's true.
I agree with that statement.
All of the little minor villains in
Well, and that-
seasons 1 and 2 were way better than Prometheus.
I like the idea of a villain that's a threat to the city, not going specifically after Arrow, because Arrow's
Constantly.
Yeah.
Well, there's not. I mean, yes, there's some stakes, but
How about the rest of you? Are you going to keep watching because you want to, or because you have to?
Because I have to.
because I want it to get better.
see, we're all in the same. You just wanted to get back to what it was, and it is
Oh,
still
Kristen
part of
was
the.
probably squarely in the half.
I don't know if it will get any better. I mean, honestly.
Well, like even those moments, because I still have the love for when Stephen and Mel is having fun just being the character. Like, I did go back and start to rewatch some of the Flash season 1 episodes, and the moments where Oliver goes over to him and they have their exchanges, like that stuff, like Spencer says.
The world is great. It's just weak in this corner.
Yes, it is the backbone of everything, and those moments when they happen are still great. But I just feel like
Backbone's a good reference with everything that's happened to Felicity.
Oh, too soon.
Maybe they can put a chip in the Arrow's backbone and fix the show.
I still hate that chip.
Doesn't
I
make
hated
sense.
that they paralyzed her and then
They
chipped
quickly
her.
had to backpedal.
Again, backpedal.
But then disabled her with the EMP. But then she
So-
got better.
Yeah.
Well,
They
better.
installed a new chip.
Yeah, I got better.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing,
Then
though.
why aren't they curing everyone who's paralyzed?
Yeah,
This is
I
what
know,
I'm
right?
saying.
They've explained
It's like they're the villain.
They want to
No,
help.
they explain-
Yeah, they want to help.
like
They
they're
but
explain
not
that
that
the
bad.
cost of producing it is too high. No one could afford. No one could actually afford to have one.
They didn't
But if
shop
Bruce
it to
Wayne
investors.
invested-
I call shenanigans.
They made the prototype so Felicity could walk again. That's where they stopped.
Oliver could invest. He's rich too.
No, he's not.
He's not.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that. Sorry,
No,
I'm
it's
too
like
distracted by all the
Season
bad
2.5.
things.
Now he's only
Dude,
1,000.
I'm distracted by all the bad things.
Things happen, man. Anything else you want to say about Arrow Season 5 or what you might like to see in Season 6 that doesn't count what you've already seen?
More Deathstroke.
Agreed. More
Thumbs up.
Deathstroke.
Same thing I say every season 2. More Roy. They need to bring him back. Arsenal is important.
I don't know if he's coming back.
I don't think
though.
he
I think
is. I'm
he's
just saying.
done.
He said his husband.
If I had to say
Yeah, he
something
just
that
got
I'd
married.
want to be in there, it's I liked Roy, and Arsenal is an important character to Green Arrow.
Agreed.
I don't mind if they bring Arsenal back and it be somebody different. I don't
Yeah.
mind that.
And they
but
give
yeah,
him
Arsenal
the
is
mantle of
important.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Which I think they could do, really. I mean, that's
Yeah.
It happened with Robin 100,000 times.
And they did it
like
with
happened
Black
Arsenal.
Canary.
that's true. There you go.
And definitely one thing they need is a strong villain.
Yes.
More than anything else in Season 6, they have to have a strong villain that makes it interesting. You cannot cringe every time the main villain in the season comes on the screen, and that's what happened with Season 5.
Agreed. It lacked a villain.
I hope they have a better overall arc for this season. I mean, like Spencer said, you can't get any worse, really, than Season 5. But I also have to wonder, how far do they see this going? And do they have an end game? Like, are they going to end after 7 seasons or 8 seasons? Or are they just going to keep milking it like
They're
Supernatural?
probably just going to keep
I was
milking.
gonna say I think they'll keep. milking
Yeah.
it.
As long as it still gets the same rating it's been getting for 5 seasons, they won't
Yeah.
change it.
Plus, they're in syndic. I mean, they have so many episodes that
They-
now
they're
they
eligible
profit
for
every
syndication.
episode. So
Yeah, they hit their 100th, so they are syndicatable.
Yeah.
I just made up a word.
Yeah. I just hope they have a better vision of where it's
Syndicated.
going to keep the story
And they don't
strong.
want to.
Anything else?
It's all been said.
It's all been said. Well, if it's all been said, then I guess I have to
Nick's
say...
Batman voice.
Yeah, that is kind of Batman. If it's all been said, then I have to say this. CPU is produced by Backpack Productions, owned by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play. Give us stars, give us comments, give us reviews. Let us know how we're doing. We really want that feedback. It's not just cheeky comments around here. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via Facebook and Twitter, that we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. As always, we have so many more new episodes coming down the pike. Make sure you subscribe to our blog, channels, or social media accounts to find out what those are and stay up on them. You can find old CPU episodes searching for us via the web. We hit the top of the Google searches now, which is really fun, or directly at our website. If you want to catch up on Arrow, which I know we haven't really sold to you tonight, but if you want to catch up on Arrow, it is available to stream on Netflix because Netflix has the CW contract. New episodes, Season 6 that is, are currently airing on the CW and on the CW streaming app. We will return to discuss the entire DCU in a one-episode mid-season visit for all 4 shows during our next mid-season roundup. Though what format that will take, I have no bloody idea, because last time it was that weird newlywed episode. Maybe we'll do that again.
That was fun.
It was fun, but it was a lot of editing. Until our next DCTU podcast and or our next episode, new episodes published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Bye.